The hero of our today's program represents a small country on the northern coast of the Persian Gulf. Huge reserves of oil made his country not only prosperous but fabulously rich. Oil exports allow the government to finance large-scale social programs, free healthcare in this country, free education. The state pays for the education of their citizens in local and foreign universities. In addition, the country has long been characterized by generosity towards their less developed partners. Its positive role in the humanitarian field was highly evaluated by the UN. Meet the Ambassador Extraordinary and Plenipotentiary of the State of Kuwait in the Republic of Kazakhstan, Mr. Tariq Abdullah Al-Faraj. Kuwait is a constitutional monarchy headed by the Emir of the Al-Sabah dynasty, along with those operating in the country and the parliament. That is, the system works in a way where it combines Western parliamentary system and royal power, which is inherited. Kuwait is considered to be one of the richest countries in the world. Huge oil reserves make it possible to live rather freely. According to its own assessment of Kuwait, it has almost a tenth of global oil reserves. Black gold gives Kuwait about half of GDP, which allows to hold serious fifth place in the world in terms of GDP per capita. In the Gulf region, Kuwait seeks to position itself as a neutral intermediary, stands for peaceful settlement of the problems and the establishment of good neighborly relations. Cooperation at the international level also has a positive direction. With Kazakhstan, Kuwait established diplomatic relations in 1993. A kind of foundation of long-term cooperation between the two countries was laid during an official visit of the President Nursultan Nazarbayev to Kuwait in 1997, during which agreements were signed on trade and economic cooperation, encouragement and mutual protection of investments, as well as a memorandum on consultations between the foreign ministries of the two countries.
على المستوى السياسي عندنا علاقات.
Our political relations have been established long ago, in the early years of Kazakhstan's independence. Since then, we try as much as possible to hold bilateral and multilateral meetings and meetings at various levels. And these relationships from year to year become stronger. Our trade and economic relations gradually gaining momentum, and today we see the development of these relations as good. During the visit of His Excellency Nursultan Nazarbayev in 1997, agreements were signed within the two countries. In 2006, Kazakhstan was visited by representatives of the private sector of Kuwait, and they on their part too tried to give impetus to the development of economic relations.
طبعا في عندنا عدد من المشاريع في الوقت الحالي، عندنا مشاريع تحضيرية أمانة ودراسات.
There are projects that are now underway. Now we're working actively in the sphere of attracting investments. We are now conducting a series of meetings with the Kazakh fund Samur Kazna. Our relations in the sphere of economy, trade and investment are conducted at a very high level. I believe that in the future such a relationship can only have bright prospects.
الكويتي للدخول إلى جمهورية كازاخستان. هناك أيضا أنا أقول أن دولة الكويت تعمل مع
Since that time, the state of Kuwait gained its independence. We began to consolidate our economic relations not only at the level of the Middle East, but also in other countries. Our country has implemented 3 projects in Kazakhstan. A project on the preservation of the RLC, the construction of the building of the Ministry of Agriculture, and the project of the private sector.
اللي قامت بها دولة الكويت سواء في الخليج في الشرق الأوسط عن طريق الصندوق الكويتي للتنمية كذلك.
Kazakhstan and Kuwait both are peace-loving states, and any cooperation between our countries in the promotion of peace will be useful not only for the two countries, but in general for the Central Asian region and the Persian Gulf region, the Kuwaiti diplomat said.
الوضع السياسي للأسف في المنطقة
We were upset for what is happening in the Middle East, especially in Syria. So far, negotiations are held with all parties. We appreciate the position of the state of Kazakhstan, because you have provided the platform for the negotiations between all parties to the conflict. Kazakhstan is a state that wants peace, not only in Syria, not only in the Middle East, but all over the world. Kuwait supports the UN resolution regarding the Syrian negotiations, which took place in Geneva. And of course, I hope that the war in the Middle East will come to an end soon.
عدة طبعا اجتماعات بالنسبة للفرقاء في سوريا. الكويت عملت كثير لمساعدة الشعب السوري وعقدت.
The state of Kuwait has conducted a series of conferences with donor countries that support the Syrian people financially. Our country has presented the Syrian people with a lot of help to at least soften the crisis and alleviate the situation for the Syrian people.
وقدمت الكثير.
Kazakhstan's relations with Kuwait and the whole Islamic world is an important link in the process of implementation of the country's foreign policy. This is explained, first of all, by the similarity of cultures. Today, Kazakhstan completely and effectively acts as part of the most important associations of the Islamic states, primarily in the organization of the Islamic Conference, the Islamic Development Bank, and a number of other organizations. Participation in the work of these institutions gives our country the opportunity to reconcile their positions on key international issues, as the situation in the Middle East, the situation in Iraq, the question of post-war reconstruction of Afghanistan, the task of countering terrorism, extremism, and drug trafficking. Cooperation with Islamic states also provide unlimited opportunities for cooperation in the cultural sphere, which in turn allows to bring people together. The state of Kuwait lies on the northeastern part of the Arabian Peninsula, in a low desert plateau washed by the waters of the east of the Persian Gulf. At this point on the planet is one of the best places to explore the Arab culture. The history of Kuwait is linked with the history of Babylonia, Assyria, ancient Iran, the first Arab state in the northeastern coast of the Arabian Peninsula. Back in the 7th century, Kuwait was part of the Arab Caliphate. The territory of the state has repeatedly exposed to attacks of the Turks and Iranians. In the 16th century, Kuwait became part of the Ottoman Empire. In 1756, the Emirate of Kuwait was formed, which until now is ruled by the dynasty of Al-Sabah. After 3 centuries of Kuwait became the object of the struggle between Great Britain and Germany. Thus, at the end of the 19th century, Great Britain made Kuwait Sheikh to accept the recognition of its exclusive rights in Kuwait. It was only in 1961 that the contract was cancelled. Kuwait was proclaimed an independent state. Up until the mid-20th century, Kuwait's economy was dominated mainly by fishing, mining, and processing of pearls, animal husbandry, and trade. Living standards were low. The situation changed with the beginning of the development of oil fields.
هذا القارب يعني هذا القارب يقول يعتبر هو أول يعني في
Kuwait ships have immense historical significance. They were considered the foundation of our country's economy before the discovery of oil, and because of them, we made a profit on the ship and sailed to Africa and India for trade. Also in ancient times, on the ship, we could go out to sea and look for a pearl. So the ship is a symbol of our country.
آبائنا وأجدادنا كانوا يذهبون على هذه السفن للتجارة.
Tariq Abdullah Al-Faraj spent all his childhood at sea, and he often liked to be alone on the beach and gaze into the distance, thinking about the future, about who he wants to be when he grows up. Interestingly, but his dreams of a career had nothing to do with either the sea or the diplomatic service.
طموحي دائما يعني طموح الشباب خاصة في
I had a dream to become a lawyer. I went to university to be a lawyer. Even for a time, practiced law. I worked as a lawyer for a brief period, and a half years, and I just applied to the Ministry of Foreign Affairs to the post of specialist in the legal department. We had to pass written and oral exams. I am glad that everything turned out well, and so I began my career in the legal administration of the Kuwaiti Foreign Service.
يعني محامي فترة. والله هو الاختيار بحد ذاته يعني كان أمانة.
I worked in South Africa for 4 years, then in New York for 6 months, the UN General Assembly, in Holland 5 years, 6 years in Iran. Then I returned to Kuwait, where I worked for over 2 years in the administration district of law at the Ministry of Foreign Affairs. And after half a year, I started working in Kazakhstan as an ambassador of the state of Kuwait. For me, it is an honor to be in your country. And I think I've got confidence from our government since I was elected as the first ambassador of my country to Kazakhstan. I am of course very happy. On the same day as I was appointed, I immediately gathered his family for the festive table. On the same day as I was appointed, I immediately gathered my family for the festive table to celebrate the occasion together. I arrived here on January 28, 2015. My main mission as an ambassador is to further develop our cooperation in various fields. When I arrived in Astana, unfortunately, I did not take in warm clothes with me, and I arrived on January 28. It was difficult to imagine how cold it can be. Yes, I heard about the weather, but really could not imagine. Never experienced this in my life. On the day of my arrival, in the street it was minus 45 degrees Celsius. It was very unexpected. I flew to Astana in the usual costume. While at the airport, for some reason I thought that the distance to the car is short, and I can reach it in my suit. But when I came out of the building for a second, I turned around and asked for warm clothes.
بذكر اني كنت بطلع راح اخرج الى السيارة.
Plans to strengthen the relationship between Kuwait and Kazakhstan with Mr. Tariq Abdullah Al-Faraj enough. Behind all this is time-consuming work, which has yet to be done. Our mission, said a Kuwaiti diplomat, is to be committed to work to increase the number of friends of our country in the world, to strengthen the position and reputation of the native state in the international arena.